Hello, and welcome to the first installment of our Hurtworld Beginner's Guide. I'm Will from Steadfast Gaming, and today we'll be going over the early game of Hurtworld. Survival games in general can be hard to grasp at first, but this one actually has tiers of tools and a progression system that makes it even more complex than most. Not to mention the vast and unmapped lands that are spread out before you at the very beginning. And a death at the hands of a boar or an outlaw will send you right back to the wasteland spawn point in the southwest corner of the map. That makes priority 1 setting up a spawn point and a general base of operations. When you first spawn in, you'll find yourself on the edge of the wasteland with a hills biome in front of you. Run around this area and collect the stones and sticks on the ground. How did I change my perspective to third person? Just tap F2 to cycle back and forth. I personally rebound this to Q so that I could easily switch perspectives during combat. I also disabled the standard Q button as I kept hitting it by mistake and would throw my most valued items on the ground. Now that you have some resources, hit Tab to open your inventory and click on Handcraft in the lower right. Under Tools you will find the stone hatchet and the stone pickaxe. Craft these up and continue gathering in this area for a while. This is the best spot to stock up on basic resources, and you're not too likely to find hostile players at the spawn point. You'll need a campfire to stay warm once darkness falls. You can find it under Tools in your Handcraft menu. Just drop it onto your bar and left click to place it on the ground. Then open it up with E and ignite it for some much appreciated warmth. At this point you should also have a spear, crafted from the weapons section of your handcrafting menu. To change modes, simply tap R and left click to throw your spear. This deals massive damage, but leaves you vulnerable, as while it can not only break, it can also be stolen by other players. Now that we have some meat, just drop it in the fire and wait a moment for it to cook. Once it has, place it on your hotbar and eat it with a left click. You'll need some tendons for a bow, so kill a few deer or shigi, the small rabbit-like creatures. The boar will drop fat when killed, not tendons. Once you have enough wood and at least one tendon, head over to a workbench and look under Materials for weak strain. Craft one and then navigate over to the Weapons tab for a bow. We have our stick flinger, now let's click the Ammo section and craft up some arrows. You can craft them without a workbench on the go, but it will take longer and cost more resources to do so. You should familiarize yourself with the resources you will see in the starter areas and stock up as you move deeper into the map. We have wood, flint, coal, limestone and clay, and iron. And speaking of iron, you should take advantage of your next campfire and swap out the wood with coal in the fuel source. This will allow the campfire to burn hot enough to smelt the iron ore you got into something a little more refined. With our inventory space getting low and resources piling up, it's time to make a backpack. Hunt boar for leather until you have 20, then deer or shigi until you have enough weak string to craft it in the workbench. You'll find it under gear, and it will double your inventory space. We now have enough wood and iron to upgrade our pickaxe. This will net more resources and destroy nodes more quickly. Since we have enough resources, it's time to create an ownership stake under Tools. This acts as both your land claim and your respawn point, so protect it carefully. While we're here, I go ahead and craft a few more things, such as the construction hammer, which is necessary for building, and a fire pit, a more permanent version of the campfire. I found 4 abandoned foundations and decided to make use of them and save some concrete, which would have been crafted in the Materials tab with limestone and stone. When placing fuel on a fire, make certain that you place it in the fuel slot, especially if you're freezing to death. To build, simply equip the construction hammer in your hands and hold down the F key. Select what you would like to build, in this case a stone wall, then aim your crosshair at the green indicator where you would like to place it. It will automatically consume the required resources as you go. Next we place our ownership stake to claim this land as our own. No one else can build in the same plot now. To view the plot that you're claiming, hold the construction hammer and you'll see the boundary lines. Make certain that none of your base crosses these lines, or at least create another totem to claim the adjoining plot. Once the base is secured with a door and some ceilings, I feel safe enough to create a storage locker and drop off all of our valuable resources inside. It's worth noting that as long as you don't kill people to earn an outlaw status, you'll keep all of your gear and tools on death, only dropping your resources. This means that we have now achieved some semblance of safety. If you've been picking up the rocks on the ground, chances are you've gotten an earth magnet. Go ahead and craft a beacon with it under tools. This will allow you to see your ownership stakes and tell you the distance to them, regardless of where you are. Since we have plenty of leather and tendons at this point, I decide to help fight the cold with some clothing. I make myself a beanie, a double shirt, basic boots, and warm jeans. While clothing doesn't help with PvP interaction, it makes surviving in the environment much easier. We're nice and cozy with a safe base. Now it's time to move up a tier in technology. To do this, we need to find some Titranium. The closest spot to do that is the Water Tower Radtown. This area is full of Yeti and Tokar, not to mention loot-hungry bandits who almost always have guns. Approach with caution and get used to encounters such as this.
Why are you running?
Just habit from survival games, I guess.
Wait, who are you? Sadbringer. Sadbringer. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
I need wood.
Yeah.
Put your head.
Alright, fuck that. Having survived, I run back the next day and mine up as much as I can before spotting the outlaw again. I hide out, then head home with our prize. Since we're about to process our Titranium, we need to get an Orong farm going in order to produce gasoline. They can only be planted outside, so we need to get a front courtyard going. I get started with some foundations, then add walls all the way around, tucking into the cliffside and sealing it off. No one except for us can enter this courtyard now, so let's plant our Orongs. Harvest them often and leave them in a storage locker to rot in order to make the gasoline that we need. We have enough clay and iron for a blast furnace now. This will not only shield you from heat when processing iron, it will also enable you to smelt the red, green, and blue ores with the help of some gasoline. Having more than enough Titranium for a pick, it's time to upgrade. This will not only net us more ore per node, it will destroy the nodes much more quickly. A few more upgrades are in order, such as the Sharp Spear, which is more effective in PvP, and the Hunting Bow, which will deal significantly more damage to animals. Since we got some crude coolant from the mountains off of the small blue bushes that grow there, the final addition to our house is a fridge. Though not completely necessary, and it's very hard to farm enough coolant to keep it going, I wanted to show off the functionality in our final moments. Simply power it with coolant and the steaks will freeze, allowing you to keep them much longer and helping you to build up your stockpile. That brings us to the end of our Hurtworld Beginner's Guide. We covered the basics today and I hope that you found it helpful. I'm planning on making this a 3-part guide, with the next part covering Mundinium, guns, and the Tundra biome. We'll finish up in episode 3 with Ultranium, cars, and the Arctic biome. Until then, I'm Will from Steadfast Gaming, and I'll see you around the wasteland.